Tiffany, you know me. Michelle, I'm not sure that you do. I'm John Lazat. I'm the director of Rescued Rollers. Over the last over the last 7 or 8 years, we have placed hundreds of dogs with fosters and adopters. So I'm very familiar with that process. We've known Deb Bauer, who's an expert trainer. We've known her for 7 or 8 years. She's helped us with our personal dogs. We bring her on board when we need to train fosters on behavioral issues, and specifically with some blind and deaf dogs, which is one of Deb's areas of specialty. Deb has over 30 years experience with teaching and consulting about dogs and their people. She's an international expert, I can tell you this without fail, with working with blind and deaf dogs. If you want to smile, you go take a look at Invincible Vinny, Blind, Deaf, and Fabulous on Facebook. He is, correct me if I'm wrong, Deb, expert or master trick dog title in AKC?
He actually has his trick dog champion title. He has several AKC titles. Yeah.
Completely blind and deaf, by the way, which is amazing. She's a published author. She's trained dogs in obedience, therapy, agility, herding. She works with dogs that are involved in advertising and the media. So she's got a wealth of experience. She also will custom train assistance dogs like medical alert dogs. And she has a long history of working with shelters all over the country and also rescues. Deb works with a lot of the rescues that we work with. So I'm very familiar with the work, and I can't say enough about her. She's got a huge list of certifications in canine training, behavior, and health. I'm not going to read the entire list because it's huge, but you can find out more about Deb at yourinnerdog.com if you want to go look at her website. She does online training. So if there's classes you're interested in, check her out. And if you look in the chat window, Noelle, who's my wife, has posted a link to Vinny's Facebook page, and I'm telling you, it's worth watching. So on that note, Deb, I will turn this over to you, and we'll get started.
Well, thank you very much. That was much more of an introduction than I expected.
I love working with you.
I'm a little humbled.
As you can tell.
Just a few things before we get started. So we are going to try to answer questions as you have them. If you can put in the chat either a big Q or two like little question mark icons at the front of your questions so we can see them easily, that would be great. There's also on the bottom of your screen, you should see a little reactions button. And when you click on it, you should see a number of different options. So there's a button that says raise your hand. When you click on it, it will put the little hand up there. Yeah, Noelle's got her hand up too. And then you can lower your hand the same way. So if you raise your hand, we will see it, hopefully, and ask you to unmute and ask your question. And Noelle's going to be helping us in the chat and watch for your questions. So is there anything else we need to cover before we get started? John, did I miss anything?
No, I think you got it.
All right.
I think you know, there's a lot of factors involved in bringing a new dog into your house, and we probably all know that. But in order to set your new dog up for success, what do you think is the very most important thing? What would you say first to somebody?
I think we need to think about our expectations. Mm-hmm. Because I know for me, and I bring a new dog in, whether it's a dog I'm adopting or a dog that I'm going to foster, I have all these ideas and these expectations about, you know, oh, this is going to be so great. And, you know, if it's a foster dog, oh, I'm going to help them to blossom and get adopted and everything's going to be great. Or if it's a dog of my own, oh, I want to go to the beach and I want to go hiking and I want to, you know, go all these places and do all these things. But we don't stop to consider the dog, and the dog coming into this new environment, their whole world has kind of been just kind of thrown upside down. They're in a whole new place, all new people, We may have other dogs, cats, birds, rabbits, horses, things that we expect them to just get along with. And they have no idea what's going on. So I say that there's, I think, 3 big things that I like to focus on.
Okay.
The first one is safety. The second one would be predictability. And the third one, I think, is decompression time. And I think that those all they all sort of blend together, but they're things that I think we need to think about individually.
Right.
And I have a graphic, if it would help while we're talking, that I can share. If everything works as planned. Can everyone see that?
Oh, yeah.
Should say your new dog's needs on it.
And Tiffany and Michelle, if you're interested in this graphic, we can get it to you sometime after the presentation.
Yeah, we'll send it out in an email to everyone who registered afterwards, so you can have it. And if you work with any rescues and you want to use the handout, to create for an adoption packet or something, you're welcome to do that as well. So these are kinds of some of the things, John, that I think are most important. And I usually try to start with safety, because, if we don't feel safe, if we've gone somewhere new, let's just say even like just a hotel room, we're traveling, right? And for some reason we don't feel safe, we're not going to be able to really function in that environment. So the same thing with our dogs. You have a dog coming in, we've got to help them feel safe, or they're not going to feel like they can eat or sleep or really be themselves at all.
High alert all the time if they can't feel safe.
And I know you brought a lot of new dogs into your home. And I think of all the dogs that I have fostered, and their responses to coming into somewhere new are all different. So I've had dogs that have been super excited, hyper, really kind of, jumping around, pulling on a leash, barking, just being really kind of up, and their energy levels really up. And I've had dogs that have come into my house and been sort of calm or subdued. I've even had dogs come in that have been afraid. I don't know. Can you think of any other responses you've seen to dogs coming in?
That covers a lot of it. I see a lot of, I've had some come in very submissive. They're incredibly social, but they're also very submissive until they figure out where they fit in the pack. And then that starts to change when they test their boundaries.
I'm going to try to put my view up here, so I'm looking up instead of over at the side. I'm talking to you. But each of those are normal ways of adapting to something new, and we really don't find out who that dog is until they've settled in and they feel safe and they feel comfortable in their environment.
Right. If I could let Tiffany jump in for just 1 second, if you want to unmute Tiffany. Tiffany had an interesting experience when we brought Nola into her house. And Michelle, Nola was, Tiffany fostered a wheelchair dog for us. And she had an existing, I'm going to say, was it 4 dogs, Tiffany?
Yeah, 4 German Shepherds.
And one of them was incredibly strong-willed, serious alpha. Can you talk for just a minute about some of the reactions you saw, not just with Nola, but maybe with your dogs?
Sure. So Nova is she's my alpha female. But when we brought Nola in, it was great. Nola actually acclimated very well, very, very quickly. Just because I think that she was used to being around other animals and things like that. But it wasn't Nola that I had the actual reaction from. It was Nova. So my alpha female dog, she didn't understand the way that Nola moved, and it used to freak her out because, well, Nola not having front legs, she kind of hops like a kangaroo. So she can't walk, so she hops. And I know Nova could not understand that. Yeah, every time she would hop, Nova thought that she was lunging, and it was kind of unsettling for her for a minute. So what Nola did, it was really, really sweet. What Nola did was when she was around Nova, she sort of kind of like slithered, almost like a snake around her. So she wasn't making those movements. And then once Nova got to the point where she was able to understand, oh, that's just the way that she moves. Now they're best buds. Now they run and play and, and rustle and roll around on the ground. But it was interesting, because you would think that, as you bring a foster in, that, it's the foster that needs, that's going to have the reaction. And sometimes it's your animals you already have here that have the most interesting reactions. So yeah, like I said, and it worked out great. And, Nova got used to her, but it was actually Nola that taught Nova how to be around her. So it was great.
Isn't that amazing how they just figure things out, learn how to communicate better in a way that makes everyone around them feel safe too?
Well, yeah, and I'm actually glad
Really
they did.
cool.
I had no idea how I was going to tell Nova, no, that's just the way that she, and they worked it out. It was great. It was great. Yeah. Yeah.
So we can also, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so that's my Nola and my Nova experience.
So we also should, as we're looking at this, I'm going to put the chart back up. As we're looking at this, we do need to look at everyone in the household, right? So everyone needs to be feeling safe. And I just put some ideas here. Keeping your house and your yard kind of dog proofed, even if, like Tiffany was talking about, our personal dogs that we already have, even if excuse me, we think everything is put away in our house because our current dogs don't bother anything. This is a new dog coming in. We don't know them, they don't know us. So we need to kind of make sure our house, our yard, our fence, everything is safe and in good working order. And one thing that I've really been involved in, I've done a lot of Sheltie rescue. And Shelties can be very much a flight risk when they're in a new environment, when they are stressed, when something scares them, they tend to run first. And a lot of dogs are this way. So bringing a new dog in, we don't know yet what's going to bother them or spook them. So I like to make sure I've got a well-fitting harness that they can't get out of, and that I'm really aware. I don't want them to get away from me and go running off somewhere. They're in a new place. They don't know me. It'll be a lot harder for me to get them back, if something happened. John, I hope you haven't had any situations like that where you've had new fosters get away, but I've worked with a lot of foster homes who have, unfortunately.
Luckily, we've only had one foster get away, and I hate to say this in public, but I'm the guilty one. We had Canine Philly, who wicked smart. Tiffany, you heard me speak about him. He's the explosives detection dog. We brought him in from sheriff's department. Well, we had him fostered with an ex-police officer who has kennels about a mile from here. I would spend time with him every day. One day I put him in the front of his kennel, not realizing they left the back kennel door open. So he came right around. It's the second day he's here. I'm like, oh my God, this is really, really bad. Luckily, he wanted to interact with me, so I was able to call him right over. I knew the Czechoslovakian command for that. I got him to me, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to put you in the back and lock it up. Well, because I was so worried about grabbing him, I didn't lock the front. He then went out the front. So it happened twice, and it really scared me. Luckily, my fosters have not had that issue, but it was definitely an eye-opener.
Yeah, that is scary. I'm glad it worked out okay.
Yeah, particularly because he was a police dog.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have firsthand experience.
So it can happen to all of us, right? I've had instances where my gate, has been left open and I don't check it and I let the dogs out. But when I'm bringing a new dog in, I'm really
Oh, yeah.
super, super careful because I don't want something to scare them and then to run away. I always make sure that I give a new dog a safe place in my house. So I've had dogs that have found their own safe place. I worked with a bunch of puppy mill survivors. And as you can imagine, them coming into my home were kind of scared. And so they would find their own safe place. And, one of them might claim under the bed or, in the back corner of my back bathroom or, wherever it was. And as much as possible, I tried to let them keep that space as long as it was, wasn't going to hurt anybody. But I've used just an open crate where I don't close the door. It's just open and there's a bed in there. And that just lets them kind of have a place that they can go and they know nobody's going to bother them. Because if they are stressed, think about if you were just plunked down in the middle of someone's house and you didn't know anybody, but maybe you had a bedroom where you were staying and you just wanted some time to yourself to go in there and just, okay, I need to breathe. So that's important for our dogs, and especially if we're bringing them into a home with children or a lot of activity, other animals. And I always make sure that my dogs, I don't have any children at home anymore, but that my dogs and my children aren't bothering them in that safe place.
Speaking of safe place, Deb, we had a really good experience with that. We had my son's chow here when he was deployed for a short term until we could transport him. But he started acting out really badly. He was a pretty good dog and he turned into not so good of a dog.
Mm.
And what we did was we set his original crate back up in a nice quiet spot, covered it with blankets. So it was his little man cave. And almost overnight, the problem went away. It was all because he didn't feel he had his own space. When we gave him his crate back, after being here months, we gave him his crate back. He straightened out. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think I don't know about you, but I work with people. I work with a lot of different people all day long. And sometimes I come home and I just want my own space. And it doesn't mean I don't like, my roommate or whoever is around. It's just, I just need that time. And I think animals are that way too. And some, of course, more than others. So just allowing them to have a space that they can choose to go to when they need to, I think really helps with that sense of safety. And the sooner we can help our new dog to feel safe, the sooner they can start to trust us and start to build that bond with us that we all want with our dog. So that's my number one is safety.
Absolutely.
And then after that, I start to look at making something predictable, because when something is predictable, it helps us to feel safe because we know what to expect. So I put the dog on a routine. First of all, I probably have to house train it. So a routine is going to certainly help with house training. But just so they kind of know, I work outside of the home. And so as soon as I get a new dog, I kind of want to start getting them into the routine of, we're going to be more active in the morning, we're going to be more active in the evening. The middle of the day is going to be time for, whatever I'm going to use my enrichment or that kind of thing. So just a routine to how the day is laid out so that they kind of learn what to expect. I come home, I let my dogs out, we go for a walk, we come back, we kind of hang out a little bit, I feed them. Just how is the day going to flow? And I think also setting some boundaries and some expectations, again, so that they know what's expected in this new place. Am I going to be allowed on the couch? Am I not going to be allowed on the couch? Do I have to wear a leash to go out the door? Or is there a fenced yard that I can just run out into? So anything that we can make consistent for them is going to help them to settle in faster.
I'll tell you what, my neighbor Stephen Fickey next door have fostered and adopted 2 different blind and deaf dogs from us in the last year. And Tiffany and Michelle, we actually brought Deb in as a consultant because one of them has some neurological / behavior issues. And our fosters were new to blind and deaf. Their routine, we have their routine down so specific that they go to bed the same time every night. They get created the same within 5 minutes at the same time. They get their harness off, they get a treat, they go to bed every single night. It's that specific, those 3 steps. So routine is good.
And that really helps them to know what's going on or what's going to happen next.
Right.
Some blind and deaf dogs have a hard time learning to sleep all night because if they can't see at all, they don't know that it's day or night. So having a really clear routine at bedtime can help them learn, okay, we're all going to bed. We're going to sleep for a really long time. Right. So yeah, that's really good. I also put management under predictability. I don't really know that it helps make things predictable for the dog, but it certainly makes things easier for the dog and easier for us if we put management into place. So things like, let's put up a gate to limit the number of rooms the dog can go in at first, or to actually keep the dog in the room with us so that we can supervise them. So while I'm watching TV, I might put up a gate or put up an X pen so that the dog can be there with us. And I don't have to worry about, okay, I haven't heard the new dog for a while. Wonder what he's doing, wonder what he's getting into. And that can really help to teach new expectations and behaviors right from the start. So they can't go into the kitchen and be counter surfing while I'm watching TV if I have managed the environment and they have to stay in the room with me. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but things like dog proofing is management. Pick up the things you don't want the dog to get into. It just makes things so much easier for everybody. If you have more than one dog and you're bringing another dog in, pick up all the favorite toys for a couple days, so you don't have any squabbles over, whose is whose and that kind of thing. Make sure that you have more dog beds than you do dogs so that they always have options and they don't have to worry about either feeling uncomfortable and trying to crowd into a bed with a new dog that they may not really know, or that they don't have their favorite bed taken up and then there's nowhere else for them to go lay down.
That's a good one, extra beds.
Yeah, I always try to I have 3 dogs of my own, and I have here 1, 2, 3, I have 5 beds. And I always try to have more bones than dogs,
Rubber balls. Yeah. My guys, it's balls.
Balls. Yeah. Toys. I have a whole toy box of toys. When we have game night at my house. And so I get out all the puzzle toys and lay them all over the floor, put food in them and that kind of thing. And I usually put out 8 of them for my 3 dogs so that there's never any, oh, I wanted that one. They just kind of look around the room and they're like, oh, wait, there's one over there. So yeah, all of those little things, just things that we can put in place to set them all up for success. Good management. Do you have anything you want to add on management? Because you have a lot of dogs you have to manage.
No, I think the space consideration was really important. I have 6 dogs here currently, and 5 of them are special needs at some level. Managing the space becomes really critical for us. Even after I think we brought our last foster in about a year ago. That would be Mila in a wheelchair. She was born with part of her brain did not develop, so she doesn't have a full brain. And her behavior is affected somewhat. And so one of the things we still have to manage is not just in bringing a new dog in, we do this for all the dogs when they come in, but we have to keep her routine such, and then we feed our dogs in separate rooms in the crates. Some of them are open crates, but we've had a real problem with this number of dogs and some resource guarding. And so the baby gates, we use those all the time. We have them all over the house. We have some stashed away behind furniture for when we need it. So I think being aware of the management, I think that's really important. I use that a lot without really thinking about it. It just has become second nature.
Management is my friend.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times I can help a client to put management in place, and we don't, it's like it just solves the problem. And they've been dealing with the problem sometimes, you know, a behavior that they see as a problem for a long time.
Yeah.
And they've tried training, and they've tried this, and they've tried that, and they've talked to this person and that person, and nothing's really seeming to solve the issue. And sometimes just coming in and putting some management in place, which is easy and works for everyone, just kind of solves the, you know, there's no more issue.
It struck me when you talked about managing their space. When you're in the room watching TV, you want them in the room with you so that you'll put up an X pen or a baby gate. What strikes me about that is not just the management, but I think at a certain level, if you make that routine, that helps the dog to bond with you. And also it develops a psychological expectation with that dog that it should be hanging out with you. So over time, if you do that often enough, even if the gate's not there, they're going to come in and hang with you, and therefore make your life easier as well as more enjoyable.
Yeah, it does. It just kind of teaches them what's expected. And I like my dogs to hang out with me. I mean, once they're fully settled in, I don't care if they go, you know, wander down the hall without me or whatever, but I do like to have them around, and they like to be around me. And I mean, everybody is here in the room napping right now. And yeah, I like it that way. Hopefully they do too. And then the last one I have here is decompression time. I think is really important. Again, here's our expectations coming into play, right? Oh, I'm bringing home a new dog. I want all my friends to meet it. I want it to play with all of my other dogs. I want it to get along with my cats. I want it to not chase my chickens. So I'm just going to bring it home and just like expose it to everybody all at once. And how overwhelming would that be to a dog coming into a new environment? So I think anytime either we're bringing a new dog in or we're taking our own dogs somewhere new, you know, we can also consider all of these things if we're traveling with our dog, if we're moving to a new home with our dog, but just giving them some time to settle in, check everything out, gradually learn about everyone in the family at their own pace. This is not a time to be, you know, throwing wild parties and inviting in the whole community. It's not a time to be taking the dog out in the yard and throwing a frisbee or a ball for it for an hour at a time. Because those are things that are going to bring the stress level and the arousal level up. And that's not going to really help them to settle in. It's not going to give them the time to rest and recover that they need with all of this change going on. So I like to say, bring the dog home if you can. There's been times that I've gone to get a foster dog, and it's, you know, it's not the ideal time because that's when the dog needs me, right? So it's not on a weekend when I can spend the next 2 days home with it. But as much as possible, I try to arrange so that I'm going to bring, you know, a dog in when I have some time to take a couple days off, just kind of hang around at home, keep it quiet, keep it settled, go at the dog's pace, and just let them sniff.
And that's important. I don't mean to interrupt you,
Oh, it's
but
okay.
going at the dog's pace is hugely important. The speed of any relationship is determined by the weakest, most fragile partner, right? I have a pot cake here, a street dog from the Bahamas. Her name is Roxanne. She's a tripod. She lost her leg before she came here. As a street dog, she was terrified of people. And somewhat luckily, she came to me with mange. So I had her quarantined for about 6 weeks. I was the only human she got to see for 6 weeks, and she was scared. And I will tell you, working with her one-on-one with a harness and a long lead in my fenced yard, because she's a serious escape risk, it took me 6 to 8 months before she would trust me. Now she's been here roughly a year and a half. And now she'll jump up on the couch and lay with me while I'm watching TV, or she'll come over to me for attention and affection. But I had to be that patient for almost a year in order for her to get that comfortable. So I think, going at the dog's pace is a really important point to make. If you bring a dog home that's shy or anxious, and all of a sudden you think you're going to have a cuddle buddy and you force it to be held and petted and in really close interaction, that's going to tend to stress the dog out till it figures out where it's at. Wouldn't you say, Deb?
Yeah, definitely. And it may be a topic for another chat, but dogs respond to stress differently. And so some may seem like they're just happy and excited, but they may be overly stressed. And some may seem like they enjoy sitting in your lap because they're really still, but really they're frozen because they're like scared,
Right.
So it's really important to, just like you did, take your time, and it sounds like you put all of these things into place, and you did go at her pace. And if we can allow the dog to come to the point of trusting us, that's when we know that they truly feel safe.
Absolutely. And it's been a world. We're still doing that today. We're still very aware she does not like people or visitors. We're getting better with that. But, we accept her as an individual. This is her reaction based on her history. This is not a behavioral problem, so to speak. It's just something we would like to overcome. So we work on it all the time. We have our neighbors stop by and just talk over the fence to her. She's very buddy with one of our other dogs. So when we go, like vet appointments, I will not schedule a vet appointment unless these two guys go together for security and companionship. But we're still adjusting to that. And so it's not necessarily do this for 3 weeks and everything's golden. It's, if this is what that dog needs, you do it as long as the dog needs it.
Yeah, that's a really important point. And when I think about this topic in particular, but when I think about dogs in general, I try to put myself in their paws, so to speak. And
Absolutely.
If I went somewhere and I was really afraid and someone kept trying to kind of force themselves on me and, oh, it's okay, you're going to trust me. And I would tend to pull back more.
Yeah.
Than if I felt like someone was truly accepting me for who I was and allowing me to kind of come out of my shell instead of trying to pressure me into it. So, right. And that's the same approach that I take when I'm working with puppy mill survivors, dogs that are truly, truly terrified, almost panicked about, everything new in their environment. And I find that I have much better luck that way than trying to kind of pressure them into, here's a timetable. Okay, I need to get you ready for adoption. Let's keep working on this. And that sometimes tends to make it worse because they don't have that downtime.
Yeah. And it stresses you out too if you have expectations that aren't being met.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guilty.
So there's two things here that I want to mention. One is sniff walks. I find that putting a dog on a long line, going to an area, whether it's a field, the quiet end of a park, anywhere that there's not going to be a lot of people around. I've even just done it in the yard to begin with, but just taking them on a long line and just let them set the pace, let them decide as much as possible. You don't want them sniffing like, near a road or something that's not safe. But as much as possible, just let them decide what direction they're going, how long they want to stop and smell something, when they're ready to move on. Dogs take in their world by scent, and that's how they gather information, and that's how they start to feel safe about their environment. It also helps them to relieve stress. And some people say it's even better exercise than going out and throwing the ball for them for an hour.
Yeah, mental exercise can be as exhausting as physical, which is a good thing.
Yeah, because it's using, well, first of all, it's something that a dog will go out and do, right? Is just sniff around. They really wouldn't go out and chase a ball for an hour just on their own. They wouldn't just choose to do that with nobody throwing the ball, but they would choose to go out and sniff. So it's something that they're using so much of their brain for, that then when they come home, they can sort of just feel relaxed. And the other thing is they really need uninterrupted sleep. And that's really hard to get in a new place. If you've ever traveled and you're sleeping in a new hotel room for the first night, and you're hearing all the different noises and the, air conditioners kicking on and off, and you hear people in the hallway and there's voices, and you can't get that really deep, uninterrupted sleep that you need to feel kind of rejuvenated. And the same thing with dogs coming into a new environment. If you can imagine, every time they close their eyes, there's a different noise, or there's a different, being walking by, whether it's one of your dogs or it's you or whatever. They're not going to get that really deep sleep that they need. So providing them for that safe place where they can go and they know no one's going to bother them, within a couple days, you should really start to see them in a really deep sleep. And that is their brain's way of kind of resetting itself and processing everything, all the new stuff that's coming the dog's way. And it's really important for them in their adjustment period.
I find that very interesting, Deb, because it strikes me in my situation, I'm bringing in dogs who, we have no idea in most cases what their histories are, and I'm placing them with foster families. And so the families are so excited to welcome a new dog. And I know even in my past, before I knew better, I did not like to shut the dogs away at night and feel like they were isolated. I felt guilty. Oh, we're going to put you away from our family, and I just want to pet you and be excited. I want to check on you and make sure you're okay. What you're saying is almost the opposite of that. It's a good thing for them. It's not that I have to feel bad that I'm isolating them, so to speak, away from everybody else. They need that. That's what you're saying, right?
I don't know that we need to isolate them, but it depends on the dog. Because if I were to bring a new dog here with my 3 dogs, it might be very difficult for that dog to sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
Here in my bedroom it's a new place, right? I'm there, my 3 dogs are there. If that dog's not fully comfortable, they're not going to really feel like they can sleep. Right? Every time I move or something, they're going to be like, "Wow, what's going on?" But then again, some dogs might need that security of being with someone. They're in a new place. They may want to be with someone. But can I put them in that safe place? Can I put them in their crate in my bedroom so that they know that they're not going to be bumped by my other dogs or whatever? And I may even go as far as to have the crate there and have it open with the bed and put an X pen around it so that they have their own space, right? My dogs aren't going to, I do have blind and deaf dogs as well. And so they don't always, they will bump into other dogs. it just happens. So a lot of other dogs, until they figure that out, think it's rude that another dog is bumping into them. But they're also not gonna be able to sleep if they think a dog's gonna be coming into their space. So I think it just depends on the dog. I mean, I think some dogs may like to be kept separate, especially if they're fearful at first. They may like to have their own space where you're not encroaching, you're not coming into the room more often than necessary. But if it's a dog that's highly social and you try to bring them into a new place and then isolate them right away, that could even be more stressful.
So if I'm understanding you right, then when you say deep sleep, that all revolves around that sense of safety and security. We have to give them that, not just every day, but also, in sleeping arrangements.
Right.
Okay.
And deep sleep doesn't always just happen at night.
Okay.
I mean, if we have dogs, we've seen them where they're just like, we think, oh, if only I could sleep that soundly, right? We just look over at them and they're napping and they're just like, oh, that's really important to them. And dogs spend a lot more time sleeping, during a day than we do. So if it can be really good sleep, that can just speed along the transition
Sure.
for them to feel comfortable. Yeah. Well, does anyone have questions? Does anyone have stories, anything they want to share around this topic of bringing a new dog in, or even of taking your dog somewhere new?
Tiffany, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have actually, like John said, I have 4 shepherds, and then I had Nola. But when I got one of my shepherds, I call her my rescue shepherd, even though she came from the breeder. She was actually returned. She was 4 months old. Usually I get mine from the breeder between 7 and 8 weeks. But she was actually 4 months old already. So she had spent 2 months with a previous owner. Not sure what happened. She is, to this day, she's backward. She's very, she acts like she is fearful. So she has anxiety, but she doesn't act, but she's not a shy, fearful dog in all situations. It's only in some. So when I brought her home, I had to clean the dogs out of my house. And there was an open crate. Actually, it was one of my bigger shepherds. So it was a large crate. I left the door open, and this dog sat in there for 3 days before she decided she was going to come out. I mean, I would have to go in and get her to take her out for potty breaks, but I don't know what happened with the potty. I have a 4-month-old puppy that would hold her for 14, 16 hours straight. She would not go to the bathroom. So I don't know if the previous owners were like maybe heavy-handed with her, you know what I mean? Not understanding the potty training process, or she had an issue with that. But but the vet did tell me that she was probably kept in the crate all the time. And that's where she was comfortable. She wanted to be in that crate, and she would watch me. I would just have the crate open and I would go about my daily business, and she would just watch me. But it took her 3 entire days to wander out of that crate on her own. Mm-hmm. So they're all, and then all my other dogs, of course, I got them right at 7, 8 weeks. They come in, they're puppying around, and I don't know about anybody else. When I bring a new puppy in, I live in my kitchen for about at least 2 months. I live in my kitchen with these dogs while they're getting well, they're getting potty trained, and yeah, so the baby gates definitely go up. But yeah, so they are all all different depending on like John said, you don't know their background, you don't know what situation that they come in, and and even if nothing happened to her, I mean, that might have still been her reaction. I mean, all dogs are different, right. But yeah, so so as many dogs as I have, they're all different. And actually 3 of my shepherds are related. So genetic wise, they come from the same gene pool, but it's like, children. I have 3 kids, and they can't be any more different than if they had different parents. And my dogs are the same way. But yeah, that was her. And I've never had a dog do that. And she did. She was very content to sit in that crate for 3 days and just kind of like watch me until she felt that she was okay to come out. So yeah, that's my only other, my only other story other than, Nola freaking Nova out about, the way that she moved.
And when Tiffany says that she jumps like a kangaroo, she's not lying. I don't
Yes.
have video of it, but I've seen what she does, and she launches.
She does, and I'll tell you what, she gets a good 6 feet at a time. When she wants to go, it's like a baby. They've got those short little legs, and they go fast. When Nola wants to go, I mean, that girl goes.
Oh, that's great. And all your dogs have learned now that that's kind of normal for her. And
My gosh, they pig pile each other. They jump on top of each other, and I mean, they're just, yeah, no, they're a family. They are a pack. They are, as a matter of fact, even Ghost. So Ghost is my boy, so he doesn't really play with the girls, but my two females will play with her. And I remember even I think it was John, maybe only 2 days that Nola was here. We went to go somewhere, and Nola was in the yard. Of course, she doesn't move as fast as the other dogs, can initially. She can when she wants to. But and I remember we all started walking, and it was Ghost that turned around to check on her to make sure that she was coming too. And it's and at that point, that they're a pack. You know what I mean? They're looking out for each other. They accept each other. So yeah, it's actually I was very lucky when I got Nola, because Nola she just fits in so well. Then I have German Shepherds, and she's just this little pitty. And she's
a little pocket pitty in a front wheel wheelchair. Luckily, she is the sweetest thing you ever met. She bonded with Tiffany and her husband Todd almost immediately. Tiffany did a good job of managing her interactions with the pack, and here we are. For Nola, a wheelchair dog from a shelter down south, this is a Cinderella story. She got a great mom. She's got integrated into a pack. She's in a good home. It was just one of those things that went perfect. I wish all adoptions went that well.
Yeah. And the only thing that Nola just wants to be a dog. I don't think she understands that she's different. She's been like that since she was born. She doesn't know anything different. And she just wants to run with the dogs, and here she gets to do that. So yeah, it's great. And then, when I take them to the trail, my dog's even in she put her in her wheelchair. My dog just walked along right beside her, like it's nothing. And before I got her, my dog's never seen a wheelchair. You know what I mean? They always had each other, but they were all the same. They weren't even different sizes because they're all shepherds. And so it's amazing how animals adapt, and I think the most amazing thing for me is how they accept. People could really use a lesson from from these animals, how they just accept somebody that's different. So yeah.
Oh, that's a great story. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
And John, I love that. I love these stories. I love what you do for dogs that they don't have anywhere else to go, and you help them have that Cinderella story.
Well, I love what I do. I couldn't stop it. It's a calling. But I will say, I'm just the offensive coordinator. I'm the face on the cereal box, but there's people like Tiffany and other fosters and adopters. I mean, we have a huge, our donors, for instance, we couldn't do any of this without this teamwork. So I'm just the face on the box, but I'm really glad to be able to do this. And I know Tiffany just mentioned that they don't know they're different. That's one of our keywords. You've probably heard me say it, Tiffany. They're just different, not less.
Right.
That's true of all of them.
Vinny has a vest that he wears when we go out that one side of it says different, not less.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Tiffany, I'm not sure if I sent you over to Vinny's page or not. I know what you have planned in your future. Go check out his page. You will just walk away with grins and lots of ideas.
Noelle has put the link to his Facebook page in the chat there.
Okay.
Michelle, how you doing? You all right? Do you have any questions? I think we're getting ready to wrap it up. I'm not sure, but
well, I appreciate what you guys have been sharing.
I'm sorry?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, now I can.
Okay. I appreciate what you guys have been sharing. I've just been a little bit overwhelmed. We've in the process of adopting our first rescue dog, and she's only been here in Canada for 2 months from Turkey, 2 years old. and sweet dog, but she has some issues that we have to work with. But hearing that it just takes time and you just have to let them be who they are, because we had a trainer come and I thought, oh my God, did I get Diablo? Because she's a reactive barker, but if you take her to the vet, she'll hide under a chair. So it's like a yin and yang thing that's happening. So no, I really appreciate what you've shared. It's given me some hope and peace.
Oh, good, good. It could be, it can be a long journey when we open our hearts and we bring in a dog that, that has a past, and we don't necessarily know what that is or understand where the behaviors
Exactly.
come from.
Yeah.
And it can be a mix of emotions. Like we want so badly to help them, but at the same time, it can be really frustrating to have to deal with some of those behaviors day in and day out. And
Yeah, it's a lot of research. Like my daughter's doing a lot of research, so
yeah,
we've got all kinds of things going. Quiet dog music. We've got an in training thing on the collar, on the leash, so that people don't approach thinking that it's going to be okay, because we don't know when she's going to bark and when she's not.
right,
People that have rescues, they realize that the bark is just an anxiety bark, but other people think it's Cujo. So
right, right.
so
Yeah,
yeah,
it
so
sounds
so
like
it's
you
a
were on the right track.
yeah, and I appreciate this because I thought, okay, we'll just do what I think works best for our instincts and what we think we're doing for the dog, so
Yeah.
so
Michelle, Deb has a blog on her website at
oh, okay.
youinnerDog.com.
Oh, okay.
She's got lots of great information there. I would suggest you go take a look at it.
Okay, we'll
She
do.
writes some really good articles, and even the ones that say they're for a blind and deaf dog, for instance, you could still read those because the psychology will still apply.
Oh yeah, exactly. Even what you guys are talking, like we don't crate her in the rescue that we got Stella from. It's a no crate. We can't crate. But having that quiet space, my daughter set up a corner in our basement. It's a walk-in, and she'll just go down there sometimes and just hang by herself. So it seems like it's the same philosophy, regardless of how you get around doing it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And there are, I say to use a crate because that's what I do. I take the door off and I just have a crate with a bed in it, like a little cave. But there are countries where, the use of crates is not legal. So anywhere that you can create a safe space. I had a dog that claimed a bathroom as his
okay.
safe place for many months after he came home. Or I've had dogs claim under my bed as their safe place. So really it's more about just giving them their space and a place that they can choose to go, where they just know that they can just go and be, and they don't have to worry about anybody's expectations or, the people who are coming and going that they don't want to be around.
Right.
So yeah, it sounds like
I
you're
need a
really
safe
on the right
space for
track.
that.
What's that, John?
I need a safe space for people I don't want to be around sometimes.
Yeah, I do too. Well, great. Any more questions? Or we've been on for an hour, so.
No,
And-
it was very, very, it was very nice. It was very, there were some, reminders and stuff for me, even though, I have dogs and I've taken in dogs and it's always nice to talk to other people that are going through the same thing. Either, to help them, or they might say something that, you had, oh, wait a minute, I've been doing this for how long? And that's a really good idea. You never told to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tiffany, Michelle, Noelle. Thank you all for coming.